Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's a little bit late, but here we are, episode 2 of my Alpha 46 playthrough of Clockwork Empires. It's Christmas here, so recording has been spotty, but I think I can pick things up from here. So I'm just gonna, having explained or mentioned the cool new stuff in the first episode, or gone through the patch notes, from this point forward I'm just gonna play for a few episodes. Most interesting to see, I think, first new game, will be to see how the box module system affects the production chain. Also, I'm hoping to get some accidental fires, because fires were added. Let's do this in the jungle. Whatever, we'll just go with my first colony starter pack. Oh, so for those of you for whom this is the first Clockwork Empires video, each month I like to do a new playthrough because Gaslamp Games releases a new update to the stable branch. And so this is the loadout screen. You can pick currently there are only 2 starting locations, so you pick one of them to start with. One of them is the temperate biome and one of them is the jungle biome. They have slightly different characteristics. And once you've decided which one of those you want, you pick your starting loadout. They have different amounts of guns and people and food and resources and things. So we'll just wait for the terrain to generate and the map to start up. As before, I'm going to be naming the overseers after commenters in the comments section. I've got a fair number of them already, but if that's something you might be interested in, let me know in the comments as well, and I'll add your name as the game progresses. So one thing about the jungle biome versus the temperate biome, there are different types of crops available to be planted there, and different types of animals. However, some crops have been they've been made available across the different biomes. So it used to be that corn, it was only possible to grow corn in the jungle biome, right? But now it's possible to grow them in both. That's just an example. So here's the welcome screen. The text in the welcome screen is actually also procedurally generated out of bits of other sentences. So although it'll probably be different every time, it's random. Right, so here we go. And here's my colonists, and there are their supplies. Inevitably, 1 or 2 of your colonists will get a crate dropped on their head. So the very first thing I'm going to build is the carpentry. Just build it over here. Good enough. Carpentry needs a door. I'm going to install 2 carpentry workbenches. Actually, they fit right along the back wall here. And I'm also going to build a decorative module. So each functional module you build in a workshop reduces how nice it is by 1 on a scale of -6 to +6. And the lower that scale goes, the crappier a place it is to work, and that will make its workers unhappy. So we put in things like windows and furniture. Each one of those items actually reduces its condition, increases its condition by 1. So I put in 2 modules. So I also put in 2 functional modules. So I put in 2 decorative modules, just so it's at least a 0. Next thing I do, I'm going to build a stockpile just to hold everything. There we go. Now the thing about the box module system is that it replaces the old module construction system, where modules used to be built just in place. Now modules are built specifically at a carpentry, among other places, and then carried to their final location. So carpentry is very important now in that it turns your lumber into planks, in addition to that, it also constructs all of your wooden modules and all your wooden furniture and most of your wooden decor items. Other workshops that produce modules are the Metalworks, which produces, as you might imagine, primarily metal modules, like the still, for instance, and the Ceramics Workshop, which produces modules that require brick and, I believe, glass. So most of your modules are now produced elsewhere. There's some advantages to this system in that you can produce modules ahead of time before the workshop they're going in is complete, but before I do that, let me get on the farm. This will do for now. I'm going to say chilies. Chilies grow very rapidly but require high labor. So a chili crop will produce edible food in a day, which is fine, but it requires constant tending. And I need to assign a crew here. Actually, let me pause the game for a sec. It might be advantageous to assign a crew here who actually enjoy farming or who are skilled in farming. And one of the ramifications of the new boxed module system, no, she likes mushrooms. Okay, I'll just assign IO length mud here then. One of the ramifications is that it's no longer, there's less overall hauling, so there's less hauling overhead when you need to get materials to a location to build a module, because all of the materials go to a smaller number of centralized construction locations, but also the skill of the people making those modules is more significant. People who work in your carpentry, for instance, will become better at carpentry over time. As their carpentry skill increases, the speed with which they construct wooden things increases. So if you leave the construction to people who have specialized in construction, you get more efficiencies that way, in addition to less hauling overall. So the skill system becomes more important to the overall efficiency of your colony. Also, I notice I have not marked any trees for chopping. Better get on that. The next thing I'm going to build, actually the next thing I'm going to build right now is kitchen. Let's put it over here. That's a good size. I wonder if I have enough stone in stock. No, I don't. That's an issue with the jungle biome, of course. Building materials such as stone and wood are often in short supply. Oh, here's some stone. Not much, though. I'm definitely going to need to find some more before long. Mine surface nodes. And in the meantime, here's some fungus for me to forage. And I'm going to set my military to hunting and hunt these dodos I can see wandering around. Ah, there we go. Josephine Ironson. Oh, I forgot. I'd intended to rename my colonists. Okay, pause the game here for a sec. IO length mud. Alright, since you are a lady, you get Hydunia. Hydunia has no last name, so you're now Hydunia Mud. Next, we have Percy Smithhook. You get to be Yaroslav. Let's see, P-R-Z-E. Brzezinkovsky. Okay. Enoch Bronzeflood. You get to be Brangriff, who I should mention also does Clockwork Empires stuff on his own channel. You can find it under the name Robust Theory. He does longer term playthroughs. So I just do a few episodes and of the starting few days at the start of each new colony, whereas the Robust Theory channel does longer term colonies that last pretty much the entire month until the next major patch comes out. I'm out of male colonists, but I do have a number of other male a number of other male commenters whose names I will insert into the game as I get new colonists, unless you don't mind having your name attached to a female overseer. So, the chilies are underway. They have a short growth period, as I was saying, so they will produce an edible bushel of chilies in a day. However, crops like corn here, maize, although they require longer growth periods, typically 3 or 4 days, they will produce more food overall and make more efficient use of labor. So in the long term, as long as you've been able to supplement your food intake for the first little bit of a growth period, you'll get more food out of the maize plant. However, a plant with a slower growth period is more vulnerable to predation by beetles. Speak of the devil. There are beetles here. Please, somebody should... There we go. Thank you, Bran Griff. If left alone, they'll actually eat the crops, which is disastrous. Now, a crop like chilies will bounce back because, again, it's just an additional day. A crop like corn, it's not so good because they might eat a corn plant after 2 days of growth, and then you have to start over. But it's disastrous on a slow-growing crop like wheat, which requires like a full week to grow. So if they eat it on day 4 or something, you have to start the whole growth cycle again. It's terrible. Still waiting on... Actually, I shouldn't have started building the kitchen quite yet because I really needed that lumber to build the modules in the carpentry workshop. That's okay. We've got some trees. We've got some lumber on the way as soon as they chop these down. So what I think I'll do, because I really want to see the new fire mechanics in action. They sound really interesting. I'm actually going to build a smaller stockpile outside of the city limits, and I'm going to put all my explosive stuff there. So ammunition, landmines. I may in fact build a chemist's workshop just so I can make gunpowder and landmines. And those are things that are, pardon me, explosive. They have the potential to be a flame. Things that drop from the sky, so things that are underneath a falling crate, if the thing that is falling or the thing it lands on are explosive, like landmines, there's a chance they will detonate. And detonations have the ability to start fires. So with the new fire mechanics, things that are flammable, which is a tag in itself because not everything is flammable, have an ignition temperature and then a burning temperature. So when things are burning in a blobby radius, a certain number of squares around them, things are hot, as you might expect from things that are on fire. And things subject to heat in this radius that fulfills its ignition requirement will themselves catch on fire, which is how a fire spreads. So when trees catch on fire, they might set fire to nearby trees, for instance, or people. I don't think modules catch on fire quite yet. Has not yet been implemented in game. Okay, so here's a workshop. I've got 2 decorative items and only 1 functional module, so actually the workshop quality is... It's typical, which means... Oh, okay, it's +1. As soon as that second module gets built, it's going to go down to 0. Right, so I need planks out of the carpentry here, but more importantly, I need a worker. All right, Yaroslav, you get to be our new carpenter. When you're not busy chopping wood, you can be doing other things, which is what I'm doing with the job filter buttons here. On the other hand, Hydunia, I don't want her doing anything but farming, because farming is very important and time-consuming. Let's take a look at the carpentry workshop, though. We can see here now, in addition to all of the old stuff, which was just like planks, which was literally just planks, it can now produce all of these other modules. Let's make a... I'm certain we will need a workbench or 2. I'm going to say, carpentry workshop, make me a workbench, even though I don't have anywhere to put it right now. The kitchen will eventually want one. The ceramics workshop will eventually need a workbench, as will the metalworks. And that's the autosave, by the way. So the module gets built, gets put in the stockpile, and then when I designate an area I actually want a workbench, a worker will grab that box and assemble it at its final location. Let's watch Yaroslav do that right now, unless he's making planks, because I queued up a number of different orders. Make workbench. Aha. Where are you going? Well, alright. In the meantime, let's forage some of these lovely coconuts. Here they are standing in a row. Alright. So the workbench requires, I believe, a couple of planks. So here's sawing wood. Oh, and we've finished the second carpentry workbench, which means, yep, the quality has gone down to 0, which means it isn't influencing a colonist reaction either positively or negatively, the reaction to working in there. Right, so now we've got a workbench in the stockpile. And if we look at our commodities list, we can see it's a boxed workbench. It's like a IKEA flat pack. The chilies are coming along nicely. They'll be done shortly. The kitchen is still waiting on more stone, which, okay. There's actually more stone in there than I initially thought. Wait on more stone and lumber, actually. And I don't really want to queue up any more jobs, because if I look at the top line here, I can see all 4 of my work crews are engaged. I have 0 out of 4 work crews that are idle. And artisans refers to, so each one of these guys, right? Each overseer, or I should say some of these overseers are artisans. The ones who are specifically assigned to workshops. So in this case, only Yaroslav Przemkowski is an artisan because he has a specific workshop. Now he is currently not doing his artisanal thing, which is to say he's not working in the carpentry because probably they've met all the jobs I've assigned to them. So he's doing the other jobs, right? In this case, foraging fungus. He just came back with that bushel of white cap fungus. So even though artisans are idle, it doesn't necessarily mean they're not busy. And I've just received colonists. Alright, let's see. So I had 2 colonists and they're automatically assigned to crews here. I really don't need more than 1 person in the carpentry workshop. So I'm going to take him out of here. I'm going to put him into my military. Speaking of which, I should probably build a barracks. Oh, soldier's been busy. Killed a jungle fowl and a beetle, which means I have their raw flesh to eat. Oh, and the chili crop has come in. Okay. Where is the new recruit? Here he is. He even grabbed a pistol out of the stockpile. Let's build a barracks. Doesn't have to be a big one. In fact, because they don't have to hold any modules, they can be any size. So let's keep it small. Here's a door. It's just a place for my soldiers to hang out. In future, additional barracks functionality is planned, in which you will be able to dictate the military strategy, I believe, of your military, of your soldiers, and also their loadout. So which weapons they will prefer to use, because there are a variety of weapons. Like right now, they've only got the starting pistols, which are not very good. In fact, they're the worst possible weapons. But as you capture them, as you capture additional weapons from enemy national forces, or you build them yourself, you get better and better weapons, like the long-range rifles that have a much longer firing range, or the musket, which has a cone-shaped area, but reloads very slowly, etc., etc. Oh, there we go. Kitchen is under construction by Bran Griff. Now everyone's sleeping indoors, which is not good. In fact, at next opportunity, I should build some beds. Sleeping indoors it's not great, but it's better than sleeping outdoors. But it will still make your colonists unhappy. Of course, each colonist prefers to sleep in a bed that is located in a building. Your lower class colonists are happy, they're fine with sleeping with just basic cots here. Your overseers, who are considered middle class, will prefer to sleep in beds, so like the practical bed or the practical single bed. And then your upper class colonists, of which who are your aristocrats, they will become very unhappy if they're not allowed to sleep in upper class beds, which are terribly, terribly expensive to build. And these ones actually require gold in their construction, which, unless you're very lucky and happen to find like a gold node, you'll only encounter gold very rarely. So if someone sleeps in a bed below their station, so an aristocrat sleeps in a middle or lower class bed, or an overseer sleeps in a lower class cot, it will affect their mood. They'll become unhappy. Now, it won't be drastically unhappy, but it'll just be another thing that makes them unhappy. The kitchen superstructure is built. I forgot to build any doors. So if I don't build any doors, Bran Griff will actually die in there. Of course, I am going to build some doors, because that would be foolish. And stone ovens. So stone ovens are the exception to the general module rule in that they do not need to be built at a workshop and then transported in place. Stone ovens can, because they're such a basic unit, and you might encounter severe food problems if you wait for ovens to be built elsewhere with resources you may not have yet. Stone ovens are built in place. Now, the more complicated ovens, the iron oven, as we can see in the bottom left here, that is built at a metalworks. So I won't be able to build that until I'm much further along. And this still here also needs to be built in the metalworks. However, I will now demonstrate how a workshop is placed. Right? So this workshop is required to build, I think, make tinned caviar at your kitchen. If I designate that I want it here, so one workshop required, and we have a box workbench in the stockpile. So as soon as one of my lazy colonists gets around to doing some hauling, he'll take it out of the stockpile and build it in place. So everyone's busy. Well, at least we have bushels of raw chilies to eat. Also, we'll have coconuts shortly. And so food. Food can be cooked or can be raw. And hungry colonists will eat either, but they will prefer, obviously, to eat cooked food. Colonists will attempt to eat once a day. If they're not able to eat, that creates an unhappy memory for them and in fact affects their disposition and their personality. As you can see here, some memories make them happy, less happy, more sad, more angry, less afraid, or various combinations thereof. Now, a memory of being hungry will make them angry and less happy and probably more sad. And if a colonist has enough or sufficient memories of not being able to eat, then they will starve to death and die. Which obviously is bad for them, but all bad for the colony as well, because other colonists are affected by the death of their friends and also seeing corpses and that sort of thing. So when a colonist is unable to find cooked food to eat, he will probably go hungry for one day and then eat something raw. And if he can't find anything raw to eat, then he'll have an unhappy memory of starvation. If he's also slightly crazy, then he will eat things he would not normally consider eating, like the flesh of other colonists, and that is a giant beetle. Oh my goodness! Why wasn't I warned about this? So the thing about giant beetles is that they will attempt to eat your crops. When you kill them, as we saw just there, their bodies spew out a variety of medium and smaller beetles, which also attempt to eat your crops. That was just a random wandering beetle, but there are also ravenous herds of giant beetles, which is a random event that can occur, and those are very bad for your colony. So hopefully you have some fences and things set up by then. Fences are a great way to fend off giant beetle attacks. Speaking of fences, I'm going to fill in some of the gaps here between my buildings. Are you building that? Yeah, everyone's just too busy doing their thing. Eventually the module will get built in place, and that's the autosave firing off. So Mod Iron Painter has just finished constructing the stone oven at my shiny new kitchen. I've built it a bit bigger than usual because kitchens now hold all the machinery of the kitchen, but also of the old brewery workshop. So it's got to be, with a little bit of foresight, you build it big enough to hold more modules. Now that I have someplace I can cook food, I'm actually going to assign Brian Griff. You get to be my chef de cuisine. What have I got here? Well, I can make pickled chilies and I can make basic food. So I'm going to say a standing order for 5 pickled chilies and then also standing order for 10 basic food. So basic food takes as its ingredient practically anything. Pickled chilies, on the other hand, accept only chilies. I believe. So the basic food option is just to avoid having to queue up like a bunch of standing orders for food for every single different ingredient you have. As you can see here, the things a kitchen can produce, there are some things that require modules I haven't installed, like the still and the brewing vat, and those are booze, essentially. Maize can be brewed into chicha and further refined into moonshine, I believe, which have increasing amounts of effects on your colonists. The general effect of booze on your colonists is to make them happy. So drinking booze or having booze available will create a positive memory for them. It also lessens the impact of memories. So if we look at Yaroslav's memories here, for instance, we can see some of them are solid and then some are dim. And the dim ones are the ones that will go first when he creates new memories. So they have a dwindling effect on his overall personality. We can see here's his memory of not sleeping because there wasn't a bed for him and he didn't feel like sleeping on the ground, right? So it made him, we can look on the personality meter there, it made him angrier and sadder and less happy. It didn't affect how afraid he was. And that purple meter is the insanity meter, which goes up and down, generally just up, when you encounter things like monsters or starvation or cannibalism. Now you can decrease madness by with things like booze or also treatment at the barber shop, or things like tonics that you can build in the chemist workshop, like the sulfur tonic. Oh yeah, so I'm going to leave it there. This is running a little bit long. I try and keep these episodes around 20 minutes or so. And that's where the colony is at. So the initial couple of days, it plays pretty much the same as it used to. We're going to see more differences in the following days when we have to build more modules. And also, hopefully, some things catch on fire. Well, so that's where I'm going to leave it for now. This has been episode 2 of my Clockwork Empires Alpha 46 playthrough. My name is Alfred. Clockwork Empires is being developed by Gaslamp Games. It's currently available on Steam and the Humble Store and through Gaslamp's own website. And for the Steam Winter Sale, it's currently 10% off its usual price. And it's playable. It's certainly playable for now, although not done. So, you know, if you're waiting for a sale or something, I guess now's a good time. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.